How to improve your cardio for basketball. I'm Tony. Welcome back to Streetball Strategies.
They tell me to go when the light changing red. It must be something in the water. I just keep going, man, it's getting harder. I'm tired of them telling me what I order. I think I might just take this a little farther. Let's go.
Today we're talking about how to be a better basketball player from a cardiovascular standpoint. From time to time, a lot of players seem to have the problem of not being able to breathe comfortably while they're playing or training. And that's what today's video is specifically about, how to breathe better, easier while you're exercising. But what it's not about is the energy side, the energy endurance aspect of it. We can cover that in another video, but this video is specifically about how to breathe better when you're playing basketball or doing any kind of exercise or training. I am not going to give you specific exercise routines, drills, workouts to do. What I do on this channel is I get to the root of the problem, I solve the problem at the root, and then it's solved once and for all. I don't give you specific exercises because I don't know you. I don't know what you're capable of, I don't know what you like doing, I don't know what you're willing to do. So instead, we approach problems from a general aspect. We go to the root of the problem, solve the problem at the root once and for all, and then you can figure out how to take that solution and apply it specifically to yourself, your game, your life. So let's talk about how to make yourself a better cardiovascular basketball player. Now, in order to solve this problem properly, we have to go step by step, right? And before we get to specifically your lungs and how to use them properly, we have to start with your heart and your heart rate and how it affects your breathing. When we talk about heart rate, we need to start talking about heart rate zones, right? There are 5 different heart rate zones. The higher the zone, the faster your heart is beating. And obviously, the harder and faster your heart is working, the faster and harder you're going to be breathing. You don't need any kind of monitor, right? You don't need to have a monitor to figure out what heart rate zone you're in. It can help with accuracy and for you to be more accurate, but you don't need a monitor if you don't have one. Heart rate zone 1 is you at rest. You just normally as you are in your everyday life. It's your heart rate and your breathing is not elevated at all. Now, heart rate zone 2 and 3, and we put 2 and 3 together and then we separate them from zone 4 and 5, and you'll see why in a second. But when we're talking specifically about heart rate zone 2, now your heart rate and your breathing is elevated slightly. It's anything above normal, above your resting heart rate. And when you're trying to measure and figure out where you are in terms of what zone you're in without a monitor, the best way to do that, in my opinion, is to try speaking, having a conversation while you're exercising. So if you're in heart zone 1, right, obviously you're at rest and you can speak normally and have a full conversation, not a problem, obviously. In zone 2, now you're stressed a little bit. You can still speak normally, have a normal conversation. You can still do it comfortably, but you notice a little bit of intensity there in order to be able to have a conversation. But when you get into zone 3, the way you can know that you're there is it now becomes difficult to have a conversation, right? You can still do it. You can still have a full conversation while you're in zone 3, but now you're breathing hard enough to the point where, you have to really take a deep inhale like every sentence or two to be able to string, paragraphs together. You can still have a conversation, but if you go a little bit harder, if the intensity gets a little bit higher, having a conversation is really no longer going to be a possibility. When you get to zone 4, when you cross from zone 3 to zone 4, conversation is not a thing anymore. It's not really possible anymore. You can still speak, you can still get out a few words here and there, 2, maybe 3 words here and there between breaths, but that's about it. The intensity is to the point where your heart's working hard enough, thus making your lungs work hard enough that you can only get 2 or 3 words out here and there. And you're also to the point where you don't really want to speak anymore because it's getting to the intensity where just speaking or trying to form thoughts to speak is starting to become difficult because of the intensity of the exercise. And zone 5 is pretty much going all out in terms of your intensity of exercise, speaking pretty much null and void. You can maybe do a word here and there, but you're not even going to want to do that because the exercise is going to be so difficult that forming thoughts to, form those words is going to be difficult. All you really have the ability to do in zone 5 is to focus on the exercise itself because it is so intense. So those are the 5 heart rate zones, and now let's talk about how they can affect your lung capacity and improving that in order for you to be a better basketball player. So now that we know how to find and attain and maintain those heart rate zones, let's talk about how to use them to increase your cardiovascular conditioning. A lot of the times when it comes to not being in good cardio shape, a lot of players find themselves overweight. Not all, not most, but many players just happen to be overweight, and that affects how well they can breathe out here on the court. Because the more weight you have on your frame, the harder your heart and thus your lungs have to work in order for you to labor up and down the court. Strictly in terms of cardio, the lighter on your feet you are, the better cardio condition you're going to be able to attain faster and more efficiently. And I bring that up because the different cardio zones use different ways of fueling your body, like they use different forms of fuel when you're doing those different exercises depending on what zone you're in. So in zone 1, you're at rest, right? Your body's just working sort of normally, right? It's burning calories in order to, just fuel your everyday life. But it's not going above and beyond to fuel your body. There's no need to, you're at rest. Now when you're doing cardio zones 2 and 3, because you're not exerting yourself that much, right? You are burning calories, but you're doing it at a slower pace because you're not exerting yourself as much as you could be, say, in zone 4 and 5. That being the case, the fuel that your body uses in zone 2 and 3 is from your fat stores. It's harder for your body to burn fat and use fat as energy, but it can do that in zone 2 and 3 because your body's not working that hard otherwise. So if you're looking to burn fat, get fat off of your frame, the way you do that is by doing zone 2 and 3 cardio for an extended period of time. Now in zone 4 and 5, your body's going to switch over to using glucose and insulin and carbohydrates in order to fuel your body. The reason it does that is because those chemicals can be converted to energy much easier, much quicker. Because your body is already exerting itself so much, it needs an easier way to provide energy for itself. So it takes the stored glucose and insulin, the carbohydrate starches from your body that your body is storing, or in your stomach that your stomach is storing. It'll use that to fuel itself during zone 4 and 5 cardio. The trade-off from that though is that if you're doing exclusively 4 or 5 zone cardio on a given day, if your body's using all that glucose and all that insulin to fuel itself, at some point you're gonna crash because you only have so much glucose available. So even if you wrap up your cardio session before your body kind of crashes, at some point, unless you refeed your body after the exercise, you're going to eventually feel that exhaustion. You're going to hit a wall where your body's just sort of out of energy. That's because you burned up all your glucose stores doing that zone 4 or 5 exercise. But also in zone 4 and 5 is where you increase your VO2 max. That's where you increase how much oxygen your lungs can use, making it easier to breathe while you're doing that exercise. So then the question becomes, okay, why don't I just always only do zone 4 or 5, because that's what's going to increase my VO2 max, and that's going to make it easier for me to breathe out here. That's why I'm watching this video. The reason you can't do just zone 4 or 5 every day is because your body needs to rest and recover from that exercise. If you're doing it properly, meaning you're going all out, you're trying as hard as you can, you're pushing your lungs so that they can get better, the way they get better, the way you get improvement is while you're resting and recovering. You need to give your body at least 24 to 48 hours to recover from zone 4 or 5 exercise. Now, many of you have probably already started researching this subject, and you've probably come across the term high intensity interval training, HIIT, H-I-I-T. What HIIT training or cardio is and does is you'll do some kind of high intensity exercise for an interval of time, say 30 seconds, and then you'll rest for an interval of time, say 60 seconds, and then you'll repeat that for about 15 or 20 minutes. And that's your whole cardio routine on a given day. And the reason it only lasts 15 or 20 minutes is because of how high intensity it is and how much, it's going to tax your system. If I were just trying to give you an easy answer as how to get your body in better cardio shape for basketball, I would say, well, number one obvious answer, you want to get in shape for your sport, you got to play the sport. Most of you, all of you are probably not looking for that. You're looking for a way to supplement your basketball play in order to make your cardio better. Okay, well then the best way to supplement your sport is to simulate your sport. Do the next best thing to that sport that mimics the cardio that you do in that sport. For basketball players, the easy answer for that is running line drills. Running line drills is a form of high intensity interval training. You sprint up and down for a little while, then you rest, and then you do it again, and then you rest, and then you do it again. If you do that on a Monday, right, if you do HIIT on, say, a Monday, and you actually do give it, 90+% of your maximum effort, then you are going to exhaust yourself on Monday. Regardless of what physical condition you're in, if you're a beginner and you're only starting for the very first time to try to elevate your cardio endurance, or if you're more advanced, right, it doesn't matter where you are on that spectrum. When you're doing HIIT, you're still gonna go pretty much as hard as you possibly can for that entire workout. If you do that on Monday, then you need to rest on at least Tuesday. I say it's optimal to take 48 hours off. So you need to, if you do HIIT on Monday, you take Tuesday and Wednesday off, and then you don't do HIIT again until at least Thursday. Now the problem is, and a problem that I had, was I felt fine 20 minutes after doing my HIIT workout. Perfectly fine. I felt like I didn't do the HIIT workout at all. Like while you're doing the workout and 5 minutes after, you still feel like you're, gonna pass out, but 20 minutes later, you feel perfectly fine. You especially feel fine the next day. So you're like, okay, I know I did HIIT yesterday, but it's Tuesday now and I feel fine. I'm just gonna do it again. Don't do that. Your body needs to rest. I don't care how young you are. I don't care how fresh your body is. You need to allow your body to recover, even if it does not feel like it needs to recover. Now, if you're a beginner, you're probably gonna be sore and you're probably gonna need to recover. You're gonna feel like you need to recover. But at some point, you will start to build up some conditioning where you feel like, I feel fine. I can do HIIT again today and it would feel fine. Don't do that because it is those 28 to 48 hours where the actual improvement occurs while you're resting. If you want to get better, if you want improvement, you gotta rest. So then the question becomes, what do you do on Tuesday and Wednesday while you're resting, waiting for Thursday to do your HIIT again? That's when you do zone 2 and 3 cardio. That's when you burn that fat. That's when you get that fat weight off of your frame. Because zone 2 and 3 is way less intense, you can do zone 2 and 3 on consecutive days and be perfectly fine. Not only that, but you can do zone 2 and 3 for 20, 30, 45, 60 minutes at a time if you want because of its low intensity. And the longer you do it, the more calories you're gonna burn. The more often you do it, the more calories you're gonna burn, the more fat you're gonna take off your frame, and then the lighter you're gonna be, the easier it's gonna be for you to breathe. So taking that schedule into account, the ideal way to go about increasing your cardio endurance as a basketball player is a schedule where you do a HIIT workout on, say, a Monday, then you take 2 days off, and then you do HIIT again, and then you take 2 days off, and while you're taking those 2 days off, you're doing some form of zone 2 and 3 cardio. So you're continuously making your lungs and your heart work. It's just on one day, on a particular day, you're going really hard, and on the other days, your heart and your lungs are still working, but now it's easier and you're burning fat and losing weight and thus making yourself more mobile while doing it. That's how to get in better cardio shape for basketball. It may not be me giving you drills and workouts and telling you exactly what and how to do something, but here's the deal. I'm not your babysitter. I'm not trying to hold your hand. I'm assuming you're intelligent, rational, and reasonable, right? And you care about your game and your fitness enough to figure out the details of how you're actually going to implement doing those forms of cardio. Like I said, I could give you specific drills or workouts, but if you don't actually like and enjoy doing them, you're not gonna do them. You'll force yourself to do them once or twice, think to yourself, this feels like torture, it sucks, I'm not gonna do it anymore, and then you'll never do it, and then what's the point of me even trying to prescribe them to you in the first place? So instead, I'm telling you, find cardio that you like to do, and do that cardio, and do HIIT one day, take a couple days off, do HIIT again, and then those days in between, go slower and lower intensity and burn fat. I'm telling you, that is the fastest way to do it. That is the best, fastest, most efficient way to increase your cardio. You could do HIIT every day, but you are not going to get better faster than doing it the way I have just described. Believe me, I've tried. I tried for 20 years. I have experience for decades doing this. I know what I'm talking about. You can try to get clever and say, oh, I feel fine. I did HIIT yesterday. I feel fine today. I can do it again today. If I do it again today, that's just going to increase the speed of getting my cardio endurance up. No, it will not. It's just going to put unneeded wear and tear on your body, not just your lungs and your heart, but also on your limbs, on your joints, on your tendons. Even if you're doing something like swimming, right, where it's completely low impact, if you do HIIT every day, you are going to slow down your progress. You're still going to make progress, but it's not going to be as fast or as efficient if you did HIIT one day, then did zone 2 and 3 for a couple days, and then did HIIT again. That is the fastest way to do it. So I want to thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, if you found it helpful, if you think it's going to help you get into cardio shape as fast as possible, then please subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions about whatever, let me know down in the comments. But before you comment, make sure you hit that thanks button down below, because when you hit that thanks button, not only does it highlight every comment that you make, making sure that your comment stands out from all the other comments, but it also directly supports the channel. So anybody that does hit that thanks button, know I genuinely appreciate it. As always, like, share, comment like I said. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified whenever any video goes live on this channel. And until then, I'll see you guys next week.
Awaken the beast.